Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 230.
On Now You Know. We're sponsored by BigBattery.com with the best battery prices in the USA guaranteed. If you've got something you need to power from homes to cars, RVs to boats, and much more, BigBattery.com has you covered, offering the newest battery tech. Use the code NOWYOUKNOW to save 5% off your purchase today at BigBattery.com.
No comprare este disco estarellado.
What are you doing?
Mi aereo dieselizador está lleno de aguileras.
I know a little Spanish. Did you say something about eels?
Oh, I'm just trying to fool my computer into thinking that I'm in Argentina. Why are you doing that? I want to watch Parasite tonight.
Oh, that's a good movie. Is it on Netflix?
Sí, señor. El cine come singularidades me gusta.
Why don't you just use Surfshark, which is an app and browser extension that lets you place your laptop or phone anywhere in the world so you can access content that you may not usually be able to see in your country.
Wait, so I can watch Parasite and a ton of other movies and shows on Netflix all for less than signing up for one extra streaming service?
Yep. If you use our code NYK, you'll get an 84% discount and 4 extra months for free. And you'll get a 30-day money-back guarantee so you can try it out.
Solo presiono la cadena en la parte superior del libro de computadora.
If you just said, click on the link at the top of the show notes below, then yes.
Yeah, that's what I said.
All right, before we get started this week, you're probably noticing this plastic sheet between Jesse and I.
In an abundance of caution through contact tracing, because one of us may have been exposed to COVID a few days ago, we're taking a few extra precautions this week. Plastic sheet dividing the room, open windows, air filters. This is the world we live in at the moment, but as they say, the show must go on.
All right, so we talked all about the refresh and the Plaid Model S and X on In Depth, so if you haven't seen that, go check it out here.
But there's still a ton to talk about in detail, so let's kind of get into it.
Yeah, Elon tweeted out, Plaid Model S ships next month, and the picture he included is actually a little bit wrong. It should be this picture instead, which shows carbon fiber accents, not wood.
Man, but what if I want the wood accents and the plaid?
I don't know, maybe you have to make a special plea. So the Plaid and any of the new refresh Model S's can play Cyberpunk.
And Model X's too. Yeah, Elon tweeted it can play Cyberpunk. And of course he complimented the aesthetics of Cyberpunk because that's his aesthetic. But now the question to me is, how are they going to make this work? I mean, is everyone who owns the car going to have access to Cyberpunk and, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt? Is that the idea? Or are they going to have some kind of way for you to buy games and play it on your car?
Yeah, this is a big topic. I think we could actually do an in-depth on this.
Definitely.
But let's talk about the computer itself. Patrick Schur has posted a diagram of Tesla's new gaming computer architecture. It's powered by AMD's Navi 23 GPU.
Video Cards published a comparison between Tesla's gaming specs and existing consoles like Sony's PlayStation and Xbox.
Now, if you look at this chart here, that price comparison isn't really fair because they're listing the Tesla gaming system at $79,990 versus, $400 for Xbox.
It wasn't really fair to begin with since the Model S does have a faster 0 to 60 time.
Now, something you pointed out, Jesse, is that the screen itself is a 2200 by 1300 screen, so it's not really a 4K screen.
One of the reasons that these consoles are more powerful than the Tesla computer is because they need to be able to provide video for 4K or 3840 by 2160, which is 8 million pixels compared to the Tesla's 2.8. So these consoles need to pump out more pixels than the Tesla, which is one of the reasons why Tesla can get away with a less powerful computer.
One question I had is, do you think you'd be able to play games in the rear seat on the 8-inch screen at the same time as people playing in the front screen?
Yeah, I don't know. Would it be for local co-op? Would it be just basically a screen mirror? Or would they actually be able to play 2 separate games at the same time? Because that would be pretty computer intensive. It's something that even a powerful gaming computer generally can't really do. I suppose you could do it if you lowered the graphic settings or something like that.
But there's some more news on the refresh Model S and X. They're getting more storage.
But the outside dimensions of the car didn't change. So how did Tesla fit more cargo space into their cars?
So not more cargo space, but more hard drive space. Elon tweeted last week about the new gaming computer, and Ryan McCaffrey asked, how are you solving for storage? The Witcher 3 is a big game, 35 plus gigabytes, I believe. And if I recall correctly, the cars have 32 gigabytes of onboard storage.
And Elon said there's more storage now and easily upgraded. So first of all, you're a little bit wrong. There is a little bit more storage space, like physical, real world storage space in the Model S. And that's because the rear seats are going to fold a little bit flatter. But there's also going to be more digital hard drive space on the cars. So the question to me is, where is this hard drive going to be? Because if it's easily upgradable, would it go in the glove box?
Yeah, that seems like the likely spot unless it's like hidden in the console somewhere.
Because, I mean, I wouldn't want to have to, pull out any of those breaky snap things or unscrew anything. It would be nice if it was just like you fold it down and there's a little, flip that up, and then you can slide in a new SSD or something fun like that.
All right, but there's some other things you get in the refresh Model S and X. All right, so the first thing is they're going to have the phone key card, so you can unlock the car with your phone.
But can't you unlock your car with your phone already?
Oh, well, I mean that you can walk up to the car like you can in a Model 3 or Y.
And you couldn't do that already?
No.
I guess, well, that's weird. Do you think it's also going to come with the key card itself, like the plastic one?
I would think so, because it's just a good backup. I don't know. So the next thing the refresh is getting is the Chrome delete.
And this is just kind of a modernization of Tesla. The Chrome is kind of out and Chrome delete is in. I don't expect this to last forever. I think that someday it's going to be like gold trim is in. But for right now, having a black trim is like the coolest thing. I think it's really neat that they're doing it standard.
Next up, the Model S and X will still have the 18650 cells, as we learned from Elon, but they'll have better thermal cooling for faster charging like the Model 3 and Y at 250 kilowatts. That'll allow you to do back-to-back quarter-mile runs.
And this is a great improvement because for a while, the Model S, which cost more than the Model 3, wouldn't charge as fast as the cheaper car. It didn't make any sense. So I'm glad that they made this change. And yeah, I'm sure there's going to be like 12 people who like the back-to-back quarter-mile runs.
Next up is retractable cup holders below the sliding door of the new center console and deep front door pockets.
The second row seats have a more reclined angle, and there should be more headroom and legroom, and they fold flatter like we mentioned before.
In the second row seats, there's the center folding console, which has embedded inductive phone charging now.
That's a really nice feature.
And the second row has that 8-inch screen with wireless controller compatibility.
And just like the Model 3 and Y, the S and X now have airwave climate control. So no more vents, you control it all from the screen.
And now there's going to be force touch door opening buttons and added release handles. So what does this mean?
So it means that if you're force sensitive, you can actually use the force to open the door.
You can use the force?
Well,
open the door, Luke.
That's impossible!
It's, again, just like the Model 3 and Y, where there's a little button to open the door when you're on the inside, and there's also a latch, just like in the 3 and Y.
There's now new advanced tires and aero-efficient 19-inch Tempest wheels and the updated 21-inch Arachnids. I hear that the tires are supposed to be more plush.
Yeah, so quieter, cushier driving. And there's also a cabin-facing camera like the Model 3 and Y, and a new interior radar for intrusion sensing and occupant detection.
Intrusion sensing?
Yeah, so this would be, I guess, if someone were to break into your car and the glass detector didn't pick up on the fact that they had smashed the window, or maybe they had, used a diamond to cut the window open and they're, sliding their hand in, it would be able to detect that and set the alarm off. So that's a nice security feature.
All right, so let's go to the big feature here, which is the yoke.
So the Plaid refresh has a yoke of a steering wheel. And you might be saying, well, that's wild, but hold your horses because there's also no stalks.
Yeah, as Holmar's catalog said, no gear shifter, no turn signals, no problem.
Elon said no more stocks. Car guesses drive direction based on what obstacles it sees, context and nav map. You can override on touchscreen.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Wait, what? The car guesses? I think you'd like to go forward. What are you talking about?
Maybe forwards, maybe backwards. I mean, it's good that you only have two options, really. There's no sideways and diagonal ways, and this isn't, the Great Glass Elevator.
Yep, but there's also neutral, and there's park.
Yeah, I guess you choose that from the thing. Well, I mean,
from the thing?
Well, here's the thing with park, right? Your car right now, if you pull up to somewhere and you're stopped,
yeah,
you just unbuckle, open the door, and it'll park for you.
Yeah. No, I get that. But I mean, as much as I believe in self-driving cars and everything, I think there's times when you're doing weird things in your driveway where you're like, okay, I'm going to do like a 9-point turn. And how's the car supposed to know what you want to do?
Well, you hold your foot on the brake, and if it sees there's something behind you, it'll switch to drive, and if there's something in front of you, it'll switch to reverse.
So according to Electrek, they say they've obtained some internal Tesla documents, and it says the vehicle uses its AutoPilot sensors to intelligently and automatically determine intended drive modes and select them. For example, if the front of the Model S or X is facing a garage wall, it will detect this and automatically shift to reverse once the driver presses the brake pedal. This eliminates one more step for the drivers of the world's most intelligent production cars.
So, I mean, if you ask me, I think it's a feature that no one was asking for, but you got to think, Ford said that if he asked people what they wanted, they would have wanted a faster horse. So maybe this is a step in the right direction. I don't know. But here's the other question. You got this yoke steering wheel, and forget the stocks for a minute. What about U-turns, I think, is the question for most people.
Because you have to turn the wheel like a lot.
Most cars have a lock-to-lock steering of about like 2.5 turns or so.
Wait, so you mean the wheel goes far left to far right, and it takes 2.5 turns to get the wheel to do that?
Right. Now, the Model S has a 2.5 lock-to-lock turn, and it has a steering ratio of 13:1.
So for every 13 degrees I move the steering wheel, the wheels turn 1 degree.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
what's the yoke going to do?
Well, we don't know, but it could do a number of different things. You see, in a race car, you have yokes. So let's talk about race cars for a second. Race cars are different than normal cars. Obviously, they're faster, but also a lot of them have yokes as opposed to steering wheels. And one of the things that this means is that the steering ratio is a lot lower, meaning that for a small movement of the wheel, you get a larger turn of the wheels of the car. Now, is the Model S going to have racing steering? Maybe it could be an option. Maybe you can have a variable steering ratio, something that none of the Teslas have had up to this point. But I would like to talk about like the Model 3. It has a smaller lock-to-lock, only 2 turns, and its steering ratio is 10.3:1, which means that for a smaller movement of the wheel, you get a bigger turning, which makes it feel faster.
But hang on. I mean, with the yoke, we're going to have basically a this to this lock, which is way less than 2 turns or 2.5 turns. So aren't drivers going to get in this car and just like crash it because they're not going to know how to drive?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the questions come in, because even on a race car where it's tighter, depending on the racetrack, they customize it to say, okay, well, in turn 5, it's going to be a very tight turn. We need to either adjust the steering ratio or allow a more lock to lock, so that way the race car driver can actually make the turn around that corner. But on other less, zigzaggy courses, it might be that you don't have that, which means that the car's turning radius would be much wider because basically they wouldn't expect to corner that tightly. We really hope that you're enjoying this show so far. If you would just take 2 seconds and hit the like button, it makes a huge difference on how the YouTube algorithm interprets this video. I know that it sounds really dumb that you have to like the video at the beginning of the video as opposed to the end, but it makes a big difference. If you would do that for us, it'd be really appreciated. Thank you.
All right, so what about the Roadster?
Earl of Frankenpuppy asked this question to Elon on Twitter, and Elon said, finishing engineering this year, production starts next year, aiming to have release candidate design drivable late summer. Tri-motor drive system and advanced battery work were important precursors.
Next year?
Yeah.
What? 2022? It was supposed to come out 2 years after he said we're 2 years late.
Yeah, but I mean, who cares?
I care.
Well, that's because you're waiting for 2 of them, but most people I don't think really care. I think that this leaves room for the Plaid and Plaid Plus Model S sales to kind of come in. The Plaid Plus, I think, is going to have a very similar drivetrain to the Roadster, which is probably going to be hinging on the 4680 cells.
All right, so AKO, it's a Lithuanian electric trike company, is now taking €100 pre-orders for its 2-seater AKO Trike.
The target price is €24,000, which is around $29,000. And let's go through the specs. It has 200 kilowatts of peak power output and a range of 300 kilometers, or 186 miles.
But I think the coolest part is that it has this tilting technology so that it can tilt into the turns.
So kind of like a motorcycle meets an Arcimoto.
Meets an airplane. But not to be outdone, last week, Arcimoto announced it will be purchasing Tilting Motorworks for approximately $10 million in cash and stock.
Tilting Motorworks is the creator of the Trio, the leading 3-wheel conversion kit for touring motorcycles.
Bob Miguel, the founder and CEO of Tilting Motorworks, broke the land speed record for three-wheeled motorcycles in 2013 at Bonneville. He says, "It's an honor to join forces with Arcimoto, a true thought leader in the three-wheeled EV space. We will continue to build our trio kits that make motorcycles safer to ride, and we are thrilled to begin development on new Arcimoto products that utilize our technology to create a better, more sustainable world."
And Arcimoto CEO Mark Frohnmeyer said, "This acquisition is a springboard for creating a whole new line of Arcimoto products aimed at true micromobility. Bob and I have known each other for a long time, and we have built complementary technology companies in the emerging three-wheel vehicle space. I'm very much looking forward to working with him and his team to go full tilt for ultra-efficient transportation."
This could be really exciting. I mean, Arcimotos right now are fun to drive, but imagine when they tilt.
Yeah, I think that having two separate options, a tilt and a non-tilt, maybe it's even like a button that you can press, because I think that some people are going to be really into the tilt and some people are going to be like, I just want a regular, I want to keep the training wheels on.
I also think it was really smart to bring in Tilting Motorworks because that company is full of engineers that really get this type of vehicle. So you're getting a real experienced set of people, and that can only be good.
Now, let me just ask a question about tires, because the Arcimoto currently uses tires with nice flat bottoms, and that's great. We're all used to that. But if you start tilting, you're going to need different tires on the thing, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You can use motorcycle tires now, I think, which would allow you to have less rolling resistance.
So that's a potential plus of having a tilting version of the Arcimoto.
Yeah. So as of 2019, the U.S. federal government had 645,000 vehicles.
That's 245,000 civilian vehicles, 173,000 military vehicles, and 225,000 postal vehicles.
President Biden announced last Monday his Buy American order, which will include a plan to require the entire federal fleet to become electric. He said the federal government also owns an enormous fleet of vehicles, which we're going to replace with clean electric vehicles made right here in America by American workers. This will be the largest mobilization of public investment in procurement, infrastructure, and R&D since World War II.
This will be achieved through a cash for clunkers type of deal by 2040.
Now, Biden has also set a goal of building 500,000 new public chargers by 2030, and this is a big deal.
This is essentially the first time that an American president has called for a full electrification of the federal fleet.
Yeah. And I mean, I just want to point out what this actually means so we can wrap our heads around it. So if we picture a fleet of over 600,000 cars and assume they last about 10 years, that means that every year the U.S. government is going to need to buy about 60,000 cars. So that gives you some idea of what they're going to be buying. And if they want to buy all American, then we're looking at Tesla, Rivian, Workhorse, GM, Ford, Lordstown, maybe Lucid, and maybe VW, because VW does build some stuff here. But apart from that, I don't think there's too many other electric cars that I can think of that are made here. So that's a small group of companies with very few electric cars to choose from, other than Tesla has a bunch. So my first question is, if they're going to start to look to buy about 60,000 vehicles in the next, let's say, 12 months, where are they going to buy them from?
That's an excellent question. I think that this could be the play for GM and Ford to kind of step in and be like, we're American, we'll build whatever you want, and it's taxpayer delight. The government will pay whatever we set the price at, so that's what they're going to do.
I think this is more of a play for Workhorse. Remember that there were 6 companies competing for the U.S. Postal Service contract. 2 of them have dropped out. Workhorse is left in the group, and they're one of the only ones that has American workers and electric cars. And so that's, I think, why their stock shot up on Tuesday from $24 a share to about $35 a share.
Now, I have a question about military vehicles. You said that there were about 173,000 military vehicles. Now, are we talking about tanks and armored personnel carriers?
No, we're actually talking about just what needs to drive people around, just regular, boring, four-wheel sedans.
And they drive these into battle?
No, they just, drive them around to get from the Pentagon to a meeting.
And then back to the military base or something like that. Okay, so we're not talking about tanks.
No, and there are tanks, but that's not what he's going to electrify at the moment.
Okay, so that's later.
Hopefully there'll be electric tanks, yes. So if you want to share this clip about what we just talked about with your friends, you probably don't want to share the whole show. You can go to our Clips channel where we've got all these chopped up into bite-sized pieces, easy to share.
GM to only sell zero-emission vehicles by 2035.
Do we have to cover the story?
What? Yeah. GM is going to be all electric by 2035. Yeah, this is big news. It's being talked about everywhere.
But it's not true. That's not what they said. In GM's own press release, they said, quote, an aspiration to eliminate tailpipe emissions from new light-duty vehicles by 2035. An aspiration means hope to eliminate tailpipe emissions from light-duty vehicles in 14 years. We don't know what light duty is. Does that include their, big SUVs and trucks?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not exactly the GM to only sell zero-emission vehicles by 2030.
I mean, GM says it will offer 30 all-electric models globally by mid-decade. So let's just break that down a little bit. That means they're probably going to sell a lot in China. And mid-decade, I mean, you'd like to believe it's 2025, but
probably
could be 2027. That's in the middle of the decade. I mean, that's why they use those words. Then they say that 40% of their U.S. models will be battery electric by the end of 2025. So only 40%, about 4 years. And then GM is investing $27 billion in electric and autonomous vehicles in the next 5 years. And that sounds good. I mean, that's up from $17 billion. But is it enough? Is it fast enough?
Well, and it's also important to point out that GM basically only has one battery electric vehicle right now, the Bolt, and it does work. I mean, it's a great commuting car, and it will also, let you go get groceries and stuff. It's not the car that you're going to drive to grandma's house in, but I don't know. It doesn't really cover all of GM's bases.
Yeah, I mean, if only GM put out as many EVs as it does press releases.
And also, I want to get back to this aspiration thing. Like, if your significant other was like, you better change this now, and you're like, well, I have an aspiration to make a change in 15 years. I mean, that wouldn't go over well.
Thank you, honey.
Yeah, no.
All right, so Adam tweeted out at Elon, he said, future Cybertruck door handles flush to the steel would also enhance security and is badass. Come on, Elon, make our dreams come true again.
And Elon said yes.
What? So we're going to have flush? Look at this video. It's amazing. Look, you can't even see it when it's flush.
Yeah. I don't think that this is what he's saying.
He said yes.
No. He said that the door handles would be flush. He didn't say that it was going to look like this. When he said flush, he just meant like the flush that we saw at the unveiling, like this.
Oh, right. Those were flush.
So I think that that's what he means. He didn't mean EDM.
EDM? Like Deadmau5?
No. EDM stands for electric discharge machining. It's a way to basically cut metal using electricity, which is really cool, but it's really, 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 really slow. Because essentially what you're doing is you're taking a carbon electrode, in this case a wire, and you're bringing it down in oil, touching it to the metal. It's zapping the metal with a lot of electricity, and it's just obliterating it. The metal goes away. And you keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again, and then you finally cut through.
Okay.
The problem is this is not a manufacturing method that works well for high volume.
Oh, so we'd have to wait longer to get our Cybertruck.
EDM is usually used to make molds, which you only need to make one mold, and then you can make about 1 million, plastic or metal parts. It's typically not used on the end product. So my guess here is that you're going to get regular old, flush door handles. You're not going to get this. If you wanted this, you probably would have to pay like $1 million for something that they would only make 50 vehicles of. It's really cool, but it's just way too cost prohibitive. But maybe you think that I am completely wrong, and you should definitely go talk about it over on the Cybertruck Owners Club.
There you'll find a crowdsourced reservation tracker that you can update and find your place in line. Check out their website for Cybertruck news, discussions, and community for Cybertruck enthusiasts and future owners.
And if you want to see what your Cybertruck is going to look like, they have a 3D configurator allowing you to visualize the Cybertruck in any color, wrap, and logo, both on screen and in augmented reality.
All right, so Elon retweeted SpaceX's tweet. SpaceX's rideshare offering provides increased access to space for small satellite operators seeking a reliable, affordable ride to orbit.
And then Pranay said, the Starlink sats onboarded, what's the black pipe object that's acting as a covering at the end? Considering that they'll be deployed in the polar orbit and you'll need lasers to cover areas like Antarctica, is it possible that those are laser links?
And then Elon said, lasers. So then Tyler said this is how they communicate their whole concept of operations. And Mega Constellation said this was their CONOP before they shelved OISLs in May 2019 and launched 1,000 satellites without LCTs. Only now they are reinvigorating the concept of meshing satellites, and that will probably remain exclusive to the polar orbit planes until the sats in 55-degree planes are replaced. And Elon said, yup. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
So let's kind of break it down. Right now, the Starlink satellites that are up there in the sky are not talking to each other using lasers like the whole point of Starlink is.
Wait, I thought it was a big meshing constellation.
Well, because they were basically testing, the satellites that are up there now are temporary. They're going to deorbit themselves when they are done, and Tesla has replaced them with laser communicating satellites.
But there's 1,000 of them.
There is, but SpaceX can launch them for so cheap, it doesn't really matter. Here's the interesting point. Right now, all the Starlink satellites up there need to rely on ground stations to kind of bounce the information to the people, which is why they don't have infinite coverage.
Oh, so this is why Elon said all sats launched next year will have laser links. Only our polar sats have lasers this year and our version 0.9.
And this goes right into the Tasmanian article that says SpaceX launches first satellites to polar orbit to provide internet to service in Alaska.
And Elon said these also have laser links between the satellites, so no ground stations are needed over the poles. Oh, wait, so basically what we all thought of as Starlink is coming a little bit later, or now. All this early stuff is just direct to ground base.
Exactly. So if you weren't in the range between bouncing your signal up to a satellite and then down to a ground base, you wouldn't have internet, even if you were able to look at one of the satellites, because the satellites weren't able to pass the signal along the chain of other satellites in the sky and back down to a ground base. Now, these polar satellites, which aren't going to have as many ground stations because, barring Santa's workshop, there just isn't any place with internet over either of the poles. And so this means that for people like Santa who live on the North Pole, you would actually be able to get internet through the satellite network because it would go up from a ground station to a satellite, to another satellite, to another satellite, and then back down to you.
I'm going to have to break something to you after the show. But Michael Sheets said, SpaceX says it plans to increase Starlink's download speeds from around 100 megabits per second currently to 10 gigabits per second in the future.
Whoa, 10 gigabits per second. That's faster than pretty much any internet I think I have access to.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Now, Michael Sheets went on to say SpaceX dismissed Amazon's protest of the modification as attempts to stifle competition, saying Amazon makes misleading claims of interference and emphasizing that the competing Project Cooper network represents still nascent plans. Elon said it does not serve the public to hamstring Starlink today for an Amazon satellite system that is at best several years away from operation. So basically Amazon doesn't like what Elon's doing because they're way out in front.
Now, moving away from satellites here, Elon said something during the Q4 earnings call that was kind of surprising. He said, "We've had some preliminary discussions about licensing AutoPilot to other OEMs."
Yeah, that was really a surprise when he said it because we have not heard Tesla talk anything about licensing AutoPilot. And I just want to discuss this for a second. So first of all, this shows that Elon might be open to it.
Right. I think that he wouldn't mention it in an earnings call if he didn't want the buzz to kind of get out and for OEMs to hear about it.
Second of all, this could become a huge new business or revenue stream, at least for Tesla, because right now it's just making money on their own cars. But what if, let's say, VW decided to license it from Tesla? That would be a per car income from every VW car that had it.
Exactly. I think that it would be a pretty smart business because Tesla has kind of proven that they have a very strong autopilot system. Now, does this mean full self-driving or does he just mean autopilot? Because two different systems there, and I think it would have two different licensing streams. I think that it could be possible that these companies could roll out all the hardware needed for autopilot, which would also maybe enable full self-driving in the future. And then it would get into the question as to whether those cars could operate on the Tesla network.
Right. So, imagine this from the perspective of a big car company, let's say VW. You definitely don't want to put now including Tesla Autopilot in your marketing.
Right.
So my thought here is if Tesla really wants to do this, they would probably spin off their AP into a new company name, a subsidiary. I don't know. What would they name it?
Auto, after the airplane.
Yeah, except there's already a company named Auto.
Yeah, but they don't do autopilot stuff, do they?
They do autonomous semi-trucks.
Oh, okay. Well, you'd name it something else.
And so if they did that, then in a couple of years, everyone would kind of forget that Tesla and this new whatever auto company were the same. And then you could start to include like VW, now including autopilot. And, that could work. All right. So during the Q4 earnings call, we also heard Elon talk about that the Tesla Semi is going to have to wait for 4680s. They just can't make them fast enough. So Elon said on the earnings call, if we were to make the Semi like right now, which we could easily go into production with the Semi, but we would not have enough cells. cells. We would have to supply cells ourselves for Semi when we are producing the 4680 in volume. But for example, Semi would use typically 5 times the number of cells that a car would use, but it would not sell for 5 times what a car would sell for. So it would not make sense for us to do the Semi right now, but it will absolutely make sense for us to do it as soon as we can address the cell production constraint.
And just on the topic of 4680s, I think that a lot of people don't really understand what the 4680s are going to do in the cars. And I think it really comes down to this graph right here.
Yeah, that graph on Battery Day was really misleading. We've already talked about it before, but when I saw it the other day again, I also had to remind myself what it means.
The graph is supercharge time increase on the y-axis, and on the x-axis, it's cell diameter. So they're showing that if you don't have a tabless cell, if you have just one tab on the cell, that the charge time is going to get significantly longer the bigger a diameter cell you have. But if you have a tabless design, it's not going to get any longer. But if you take a look at the graph, it's not going to get any faster either.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought the 4680s were magical and that you would have a faster charge time. At least I hoped that when we first heard about it. But the more we've looked into it, no, it's cheaper to make and maybe more energy dense, but it's not going to allow you to charge it faster. And so I guess the next question comes up, what are they going to use the 4680s in? Because now we just learned they're not using them in the refresh Model S and X.
And we know that they're making a lot of these batteries at the Kato Road facility, which is a pilot plant. And we also know that they're going to basically duplicate the Kato Road facility, maybe even in a larger scale, at Giga Austin and Giga Berlin.
We did a little math here, and with the 10 gigawatt hours that they're making this year of 4680s, I'm just conjecturing here, so conjecture alert.
Conjecture time!
That maybe a small batch of the 4680s could go for the Plaid Plus. Because if you look at the stats, the Plaid Plus is so much better than the Plaid. How are they achieving that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a leap in battery technology would be the way that they would do it. And I think that this would also go towards some of the semis. I think that right now the batteries that they're producing at Kato Road probably aren't like ready to go in production vehicles. They're still doing a lot of testing on them. But if the testing goes well, maybe they would have a big stockpile of 4680s that they could dump into the Plaid Model S Plus.
Then I think you're going to see Berlin making their own 4680s for the German Model Ys, and the same will be true for Austin.
And Giga Austin, of course, is going to be making the semi-truck, the Cybertruck, and the Model Y. And one just interesting thing here about the Cybertruck, it has a similar Plaid Plus-y kind of jump when you go from the 300 plus mile range car to the 500 plus mile range car. You have that same performance boost, and you also have that range boost, which makes me kind of think that maybe the 4680s aren't going in the base model Cybertrucks. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that.
No, this would make sense because, I mean, they did initially say that the tri-motor would come out first, but then they backed off on that, right? So that might be because they need to wait for these 4680s. All right, so Lucid is showing off their new paint shop at their AMP1 factory in Casa Grande, Arizona.
This is where the Lucid Air is going to be built. In its first year, it should be able to support about 30,000 cars a year. At full capacity, it should support 400,000 cars per year.
And the all-electric Lucid Air is expected this spring. The heavy construction equipment manufacturer Komatsu is partnering with U.S. electric bus manufacturer Proterra. Proterra, which is in the middle of a SPAC.
I don't like SPACs!
Well, this is actually a SPAC that I'm invested in. ArcLight Clean Transition Corp is the acquisition company taking Proterra public with the ticker symbol ACTC. In the future, when it's done with its SPAC, it'll be the ticker symbol PTRA. Proterra will be making Komatsu's battery packs and plans to have an electric Komatsu prototype by the end of the year and commercialization in 2023 to 2024.
So I think that this is pretty smart because I think that an electric bus and like an electric excavator are going to need similar batteries. It has slightly different needs than a like consumer level electric car because it's probably going to need to be maintained in a different sort of way. So I think that it's pretty smart that they're partnering with Proterra because they've been doing this for so long.
The scooter rental company Lime will be rolling out a Vespa-style electric scooter in Washington, D.C. and Paris, made by Nico this spring.
This is in addition to its standard-style electric scooters and e-bikes. Each scooter has a storage case for 2 helmets, and Lime is employing a first-of-its-kind technology for shared e-mopeds, an infrared sensor in each helmet case to identify if a rider has removed the helmet from the case for use.
Yeah, this is interesting. When you get on the scooter, you have to take a picture of yourself wearing the helmet and send it to Lime as proof before they will allow the Lime to work.
That'll be nice because it'll be, like, oh, look at us when we went on our Lime scooter ride. That was so romantic. These e-mopeds should have a top speed of 28 miles an hour or 45 kilometers an hour, a range of 87 miles, 145 kilometers, and you have to be 21 years old in the U.S. to ride them, but only 18 years old in Paris because, as everyone knows, Parisians are more mature than Americans. I think that this is really great because the reason that the electric scooter market exploded back in, I want to say like 2017, is because Bird and Lime came out with rental scooters. So people got on some electric scooters. They said, hey, this is fun. This is a great way for me to travel around. And then a lot of people went and bought them. And obviously, the rental market exploded.
You know what's funny? Why didn't Lime and Bird get into selling them as much? Like, they really were just a rental company. I didn't hear of too many people buying them.
Well, it's because they didn't make them. They bought them from other companies, and then they were the middleman between, you, the rental user, and the manufacturer.
But they were such giant companies in terms of market cap. They could have easily gotten into the market if they wanted to.
Yeah, I am not going to.
It just seems so dumb. I mean, you already got the brand, right? You already have all these people test riding them. They could have had little ads that popped up and they're like, you like your Lime scooter? You could buy this one.
Did you ride this home? Just take it. But I think that this e-moped is going to be huge because it's going to show people like, oh, I could have an e-moped. Like, it's so much better than a moped because it's not like, I think it's going to be a nice way to get around cities. I think that people are going to start thinking about this a lot more.
So the European Battery Innovation Program has the goal of supporting research and innovation in the battery value chain.
It plans to grant 42 companies $3.5 billion in the coming years, plus 9 billion euros in private investment.
The projects are split into 4 categories: raw and advanced materials, battery cells, battery systems, and recycling and sustainability.
Now, Tesla has been approved in 3 of the 4 categories. Now, no amounts have been doled out yet, but Tesla, BMW, and FCA...
Wait, what's FCA?
I'm sorry, Stellantis,
oh, right, Stellantis
are among the top beneficiaries.
So as I was job hunting and perusing through the Tesla job listings, looking for the VP of Special Operations job, I stumbled across this. Tesla Gigafactory 1 is looking for a manager to provide operational and technical leadership for quality engineers for the Tesla semi-truck production lines.
What? But they don't make semi-trucks yet.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. This is very interesting. This says a lot about the timing of the semi-truck, because why would you start looking for people for these positions unless you were starting to think about making it?
Interesting. I wish I knew what the time scale would be. Why don't you leave a comment down below with your thoughts? I'm sure that some of you have more experience in the world than we do, and you would know like when you need to start hiring managers for production lines for semi-truck manufacturing.
All right, it's time for Going Green, sponsored this week by EcoWare.
Now, with such a snazzy name like EcoWare, you might think that it's some flashy online retailer who just like reached out to us out of the blue. It was actually the idea of our very own editor, Bobby. He wanted to sell clothing that would start a positive conversation with carbon negative products. And there are lots and lots of different designs, from the shirts that Zach and I are wearing to, I think there's close to over 100 designs on there. And you can get that on everything from shirts to t-shirts to towels, and they carbon offset the manufacturing, the shipping, and the life cycle of every purchase, and they help cap a well for every order, so it is extraordinarily carbon negative.
And I'm glad this week that we have plastic between us, because looks like we're on different teams.
So the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming was prepared to tighten its belt when COVID hit. The treasurer was expecting a 25% budget loss due to the prices of coal, oil, and gas plunging, which is where they make most of their money from royalties of surrounding businesses. And so they laid off a bunch of people and they were prepared to cut even more. However, Cheyenne saw a 20.5% increase in tax revenue compared to 2019. In September alone, the increase was 83% compared to 2019.
Wait a minute. What saved the town?
Wind.
Wind? What a gust of wind blew over $1 million into the town from like a bank?
Not exactly. It was actually due to the Roundhouse Wind Project. This is a new set of wind turbines that went up very close to the end of 2019, and this is what saved the town.
What do you mean?
The price of coal, oil, and gas plunge when COVID hit because everyone was super worried about it. But the price of wind energy stayed the same. And because this was a new revenue stream for the town, they had a surplus budget.
Wait, I'm still confused. Did the town build the wind turbines?
No, this was a private wind project, but the town does get royalties from the money that they were able to get.
Wow, clean money. All right, it's time for Into the Future.
Escape into the future.
Let's step on to the Virgin Hyperloop and experience the ride. All right, Jesse, let's get ready for the Virgin Hyperloop. This is the passenger experience. We're going to go to our station here.
Look at that. It's covered with solar. I like that.
Yes. Take out your smartphone. And let's see when our pod is leaving. Let's see. It looks like we have 2 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes. Let's get through the station here. Oh, nice, well-lit station. Looks like there's no security, which is awesome.
Yeah, what's this hologram lady going to stop us? Okay, great.
Right, let's head over to our station here. Station 2, it looks like.
Get on the pod.
Awesome, here it is.
Nice.
Oh, this is really cool. I thought it was going to look all dark and dank inside,
like
but
airplane or something.
Yeah,
no, that's nice.
Very relaxed. I can charge my phone.
Nice.
All right, we're closed in. Oh, it's held from the top.
Nice.
That's really cool. Here we go. This is great. All right, it looks like we're leaving like Phoenix or something. Oh, look at how all the pods like meet up.
Leave at the same time, huh?
This is awesome.
Whoa, that's a quick turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the coffee would have spilled, but okay.
No. Maybe that's why it's hanging from the top.
Maybe.
It swings and the G-forces remain
Look
down.
There's no rumbling or anything.
Nice.
It's just.
it would be nicer than a train.
How fast are we going? Okay, we're gonna get there 7:30. Oh, we're going 500 miles an hour. Awesome. Here we go.
Underground. Swoop.
Under the river there?
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, down to the second time remaining.
Nice. We only got a few minutes left. Get our coats and jackets. Get ready to get off. The ride just started practically.
I know.
So where are we going? Like Phoenix to LA or something? Like what is this ride?
It looks Californian to me.
It does. Very deserty.
Yeah.
So relaxed in here. What's our speed now? Oh, 670 miles an hour. That's faster than a jet.
I know.
Looks like we're arriving. All right, so we break off from the other group. I guess the rest are going to someplace else. Oh yeah, they're going under the ocean. It looks like.
No,
Bye.
We're going under the ocean.
Well, they are too. I think they're going straight. We're getting off here at the station.
Yeah, nice station. Nice, nice riverfront property.
Wow.
I don't think that's where it would be, but
Off we go. Well, because the waterfront property is now underwater. So.
I see.
And here we are.
Yeah.
At our destination.
No, I think that was
I think I'm sold.
nice.
Let's do it.
Nice.
Let's build it. So yeah, if it weren't for Elon saying, "Hey, how about a Hyperloop?" we wouldn't even be talking about this right now.
And to whichever company gets the Hyperloop up and running, if it looks like that, holy smokes, am I sold. That looks very flashy. I would like it to be a little bit more grounded in reality, but I understand at this stage, most people don't have the imagination to be like, okay, that's what it will actually be like. You got to show like, oh, it's just going to be fantastic.
All right, it's time for sunspots. All right, so get this, Jesse. 80 homes in Australia in the Brisbane suburb of Oxley will become a part of a VPP, or a virtual power plant. Now, the program is sponsored by Economic Development Queensland and Tesla, and they will offer a 5,000 Australian dollar rebate to homeowners if they purchase a heavily discounted package of Tesla Powerwall batteries and a 6.2 kilowatt hour solar panel system for their roofs from Natural Solar. So this should produce 9 megawatt hours per year of solar and save each homeowner 2,100 Australian dollars a year, along with giving blackout backup power.
And here's kind of the interesting point to me. We hear a lot of people say, oh, this stuff only works in Australia because the price of electricity is so high there and it's just not worth it any other way. But we also hear those exact same people say, renewable energy and EVs are going to make the price of electricity go up, which I think solves your argument because, then it would make sense for everyone to switch to clean energy. And as the price of solar and wind and battery backup systems gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, the price of electricity is going to go down and it's going to make even more sense to switch to them. But let's, again, just touch on VPPs. Virtual power plants. The idea is instead of having a big power plant somewhere that's constantly producing power, you have a distributed virtual power plant.
And I think for so many people, this seems just too amazing to believe because up until just recently, we didn't have the computing power or the internet, so you couldn't connect homes together. But now that you can, now that it's been proven to work, your home can be a part of a power plant.
And there's strength in numbers. I mean, having this neighborhood in Australia all having batteries, because I mean, even if your battery bank ran out of juice in the case of a grid blackout, you could probably switch the whole neighborhood off of grid tie power and just have the whole neighborhood powering itself. And then to another extent, if a tree comes and falls and cuts the wire going to your house, you would have the battery pack in your house, which means that you'd still have electricity and solar on the roof to charge it.
And if you want to get solar on your roof, call up our friends at EnergyPal. They are the solar and battery experts that help homeowners go solar for less.
And they also help with battery installations. So if you have questions, they have answers. Use our link down below and let them know that Zach and Jesse sent you.
All right, it's time for our video contributor stories. And before we start this story, I just want to mention we are running out of them. So you guys have to get back to work here. Get out there with your phones and shoot us a story for 2 minutes or less. No music. Send it to Zach at nowyouknowchannel.com.
And this week we have our friend Kevin who's showing us about the charge port button.
Hey, Zach and Jesse. You guys recently talked about the hidden button on the charge port door. But did you also know that it's a flush adjustment? So if your charge port door is a little under or over flush to the body, you can spin that guy in or out and flush it up. Now you know.
Wait, so I have this button on Sparky and I didn't even know it?
Yeah, first of all, we didn't know that it was a button. And second of all, we didn't know that you could flush the charge port with it. I mean, this is important stuff to know. Why doesn't Tesla tell us?
Right? I mean, this is cool engineering. Well, why don't they show it off?
I don't know, but thank you so much, Kevin, for letting us know. And yeah, we're running out of video contributor stories. This is your part of the show, guys. I mean, we can't do it for you. So head out there and shoot us some stories.
All right, it's time for the Patreon bonus stories. If you'd like to support us on the show for as little as $1 a month and get to see all of our bonus stories, and there's a lot of them, head on over to patreon.com/nowyouknow, and we'll see you there.
It's a Patreon bonus story.
All right, we're back from the Patreon bonus stories. It's time for the shout outs. These are people that support us for $5 or more every month. They're going to get their names up at the end of the show on the end credits. Who do we got this week, Jess?
We've got Thomas Reese,
Michael Bukowski,
Benjamin Pacheco,
Frederic Wiper,
Dan Morton,
Jack S. Otto,
David Stensby,
Josh Lowry,
Nathaniel Burton,
Martin John Horn,
Michael Fedoruk,
Roger Hoffmore,
Simon Taylor,
Jonathan Hayden,
Jack Heather,
FB Electric,
Angel Linares,
Eric Barnett,
Matt,
and Kevin Theobald.
thank you so much for supporting us. We can't do this show without you.
All right, it's time for Elon's tweets of the week. And he said, I'm under Vegas and Boring Company Tunnel yesterday with my boys.
Wow. And he's not like, with my boys. He's like his sons.
Yeah.
That's a cool field trip.
And Viv said, whoa, they're almost as tall as you. Can't wait for official Boring Company opening rave.
He said Fallout themed opening party for Vegas Loop happening as soon as allowed. If you don't know what he's talking about, Fallout New Vegas. It is a game which he has clearly played.
Tesla owners of Silicon Valley said, looking forward to this amazing truck, Elon. Any picture updates? And Pooch said, what happens if someone is stuck in it as it submerges in water, can't roll down the windows, and can't break the glass?
Elon said it floats. Now, before you get all excited and think that it's a boat, he had also way in the past said that the Model S floats. And I think it's sort of true. It floats for like a little while and then it sinks. So you have some time to be a sea captain.
And then Clean Technica posted this story about the Waymo boss taking shots at Tesla in full self-driving. And Elon said, to my surprise, Tesla has better AI hardware and software than Waymo. Money. And then Tesla owners of Silicon Valley said, can you clarify 8.1? I'm on 10.1 FSD. I think a lot of people think I'm stating the wrong FSD beta, but it's what it says.
Elon said, sorry for the confusion. Version 8.1 is what it should say for full self-driving. Separate version number for the rest of the car.
So we're not on 10.1 then.
Right. Like you could have like Windows 10 on your computer, but the driver could be like version 1.3.
Oh.
You know, so it's...
Then Naval said, all tyranny begins with the desire to coerce others for the greater good.
Elon said, some tyranny. Also, the road to hell is mostly paved with bad intentions.
Mars' whole catalog said nothing beats the real world and real data. While all the other autonomorons are simulating scenarios they can think of, AutoPilot is out in the real world practicing all the strange and unique challenges you'd never think of. Car is driving itself in this video, Elon.
And Elon said Tesla is steadily moving to all neural nets to 8-camera surround video. This will enable superhuman self-driving.
And whole Mars catalog said, oh, I didn't realize that some networks still weren't running on surround video. It's already so good, I assume the transition was complete.
Elon said the entire stack, from the data collection through labeling and inference, has to be in surround video. This is a hard problem. Critically, however, this does not require a hardware change to cars in field.
And Viv said, will standard autopilot run on 8-camera surround video as well, i.e. same neural network as full self-driving, just with limited functionality and disabled features?
Elon said yes, although it will be crazy not to turn on full self-driving.
Then Elon tweeted out, I kind of love Etsy. Bought a hand-knit wool Marvin the Martian helm for my dog. And 2 minutes later, Etsy had gained over $1 billion in market cap.
Market cap.
And then Elon tweeted, GameStonk. And then Antoine said, 1. Take over GameStop. 2. Transform GameStop into Tesla-exclusive dealerships arcade Tesla Stop. 3. Have exclusive merchant games that you can only load in your Tesla arcade at Tesla Stop while charging your car. 4. Profit. Elon said, huggy emoji.
And let's talk about some stonks over on the Now You Know Investor Bonus Story.
Yeah, let's do it.
The Investor Club bonus stories.
All right, back from our Now You Know Investor Club bonus story. That was fun.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to this tweet from Elon. He said, even Discord has gone corpo. What's he talking about?
He's talking about Cyberpunk. This is a Cyberpunk reference.
Oh, so when he says, so you're street kid or nomad, those are 2 choices in the game.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So you could, yeah.
So he's nomad.
So he's definitely been
He's
playing,
not corpo.
He's been playing Cyberpunk.
Michael Baylor said the FAA website says that Starship SN9 test flight has been postponed until tomorrow. And then Elon said, unlike its aircraft division, which is fine, the FAA space division has a fundamentally broken regulatory structure. Their rules are meant for a handful of expendable launches per year from a few government facilities. Under those rules, humanity will never get to Mars.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Okay.
Shots fired, FAA.
Elon tweeted out this picture. Starship SN9 and SN10. So that's a cool picture.
Yes, it is.
That's like a sci-fi movie from like the, 1940s kind of picture,
Right.
1950s. That's so cool.
All right, so we had a poll this week on Patreon. It asked, how do we feel about the yoke?
367 people said that they loved it. 32 people said that they hate it. 91 people said that they don't care. 137 people said that we're going to get a regular wheel option, right? And then I also just included a dumb thing, which is I miss trading Tesla stock, but that wheel's a yoke. Just for fun.
Is that for to see if it's scientifically, like, if people are following the...
I don't know. I don't know why I put that in. I just really thought that it was fun. All right, let's go to community mail time.
Community mail time.
All right, so Sandy Monroe has been on a road trip, and he met up with some members of Tesla owners Silicon Valley last week. And thanks, Fred, for this footage, which is interesting here that Sandy, I think this is his first Tesla road trip, and he's loving it.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't been on a Tesla road trip, I'm not saying you go on one now, but it's a really awesome experience, especially if you have autopilot. Then we have a wonderful picture here from Leona of her dog Nova.
We are so good at making pooches tired. And then this is Sid's dog, Joey.
Oh, Joey's wagging his tail.
He likes the segment about Renolution. You say you want a Renolution. And this is Scott's new Model Y, and he's got a dog in the photo, so that is a bonus point.
Good job, Scott.
And then Toby reached out and he said, hey, Zach and Jesse, I watch your show regularly, and I hear you often mention how much the average person might not know about the state of EVs and Tesla in particular. Now, I questioned that assumption until I began to run into it myself. From people who seem to be somewhat aware about EVs, their misconceptions about the current state of things is years out of date at best. I thought most people were kind of like me with regard to casually keeping up on Tesla because Tesla's trajectory is insane, and the state of EV tech because it will be dominant in our very near future. Nope. People are clueless, and at first I couldn't wrap my head around this. I enclosed a brief interaction on Facebook that I had with a person who is technologically very savvy for his age and who is hopeful about EVs, but is nonetheless still misinformed. Yes, I'm sorry, Toby, that we're both right about that.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our Supercharger reviews. This is sponsored by our friends at Evannex, the Tesla community's accessory store. Looking for some awesome accessories for your Tesla? Check out Evannex and use our discount code NowYouKnow to save $10 on purchases over $100.
So I'm here at the Fort Pierce Supercharger. So it looks as if they have 8 stalls. Version 2 superchargers. And this is my Model Y. And you can see I'm cheating because I'm not actually plugged in to charge. But I assume the sign means that you don't actually have to charge. You can park here for 15 minutes, which is probably a good compromise if they need the parking space. So all in all, I would probably give this a 5 out of 10 rating, heavily influenced by the fact that my neighbor was unable to find an acceptable charging rate on 2 stalls, and the fact that there's no other amenities around here other than the Wawa station.
Hey Zach and Jesse, it's Dave here in beautiful Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, and I'm staying at the Quality Hotel Fallsview Cascade, and it's a beautiful little place. It has a couple of destination chargers, so you can see my relatively new Tesla Model Y in the background charging. So it has a couple of 10 kilowatt chargers, so you can see there's one here. There's one over on the other side, and that's the one that I'm currently using. And there's also a regular charger here. Up there you can see that the Skylon Tower is right nearby as well. There's a pool, a lot of restaurants right nearby, and now you know.
Hey, hi, Zach and Jesse. It's Nick coming to you from beautiful Montreal. Actually, I'm in a suburb of Montreal, which is located about 20-25 minutes from the center of Montreal, or the downtown area. It's a suburb called Pointe-Claire, and here I'm at the Pointe-Claire Fairview Mall, which has the very nice supercharger installation. I'll show you here what we see on our navigation map. As we can see right now, we have 19 stalls available out of the 20. It's only 150 kilowatts because it's been here quite a while. I think we have a Model S over here on my left that is charging currently. But nevertheless, it's an ideal location. And by the way, there, for all of you that don't have a Tesla, right behind me is also a destination charger, which I believe has both sort of the slow charge as well as the fast DC charging. That's it for now. Now you know.
Hi Zach and Jesse. Here we are at the supercharger in Aurora, Victoria. Got another 6-stall Tesla supercharger just over the road from the river. It's a nice rest stop there, and we're just a block away from the town centre for the cafes and shops. That's all. See ya. Bye.
And don't forget to upload your reviews to our Now You Know channel website so that you can get them on the show.
All right, so what do we got for new superchargers this week?
Well, we got the 20-stall 250 kilowatt in Torrance, California.
And we have the most northern supercharger in the world.
What?
At 70.4 degrees north latitude.
Wow.
This is the 3-stall version 3 in Skydi, Norway. And I call dibs on doing the supercharger review of this one, so just
wait, what?
Hold off if you're Norwegian. I'll be there someday, and I want to be the first one to review it. So just, that's fine, you know, do some supercharger reviews of the other ones. I want to be at the most northern one.
I want to see it now. You just piqued my interest.
Oh, okay, no,
don't listen to him.
Okay.
All right, number 971 in the USA, number 2182 in the world is the 8-stall 250 kilowatt in Mabane, North Carolina. All right, it's time for the Patreon giveaway. If you want to get in this big barrel of fun that Jesse's got here, join us on Patreon. The more you support us, the more often you have a chance to win, and we are giving away a sexy poster.
And the winner is Tisto.
Congratulations.
Tisto.
Congratulations, Tisto. I don't know how Jesse's ever going to get this poster, but maybe it'll just be signed by me.
Yeah, maybe I'll give you power of attorney and you can sign it for me. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the show. I want to thank EcoWare again. And yeah, this
looks really good, by the way.
I mean, look at these 2 shirts.
I mean, wow. You know what? We got to make a Shanghai one.
We do.
Yes.
And
Bobby, let's make a Shanghai one.
Well, we need a Nevada one. We need the Fremont factory too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching the show. If you haven't liked it yet, you should like it. If you like the show, hit the subscribe button. Now, I was doing a little bit of digging the other day. Only 9% of our subscribers have hit the bell icon.
What does the bell icon do?
I don't want to lecture you about this because it's stupid. It's one of the hoops that YouTube makes you jump through if you want to see content from people that you subscribe to. Next to somewhere down there is the subscribe button, and next to it, it should say subscribed. If it doesn't say subscribed,
What do I get when
I
I hit subscribe? What do I get for that?
Because it doesn't cost anything.
No, but I don't like to hit things if I don't get something
So
for
what
it.
you get is you get notified when we put out a video. So
That's not good enough. What else do I get?
It also adds a number to our subscriber number, and what that does is it helps the show immensely because it shares it more on YouTube. Also, if you hit the bell button, you will actually get notified. If you don't hit the bell button, being subscribed is like if you subscribe for a newspaper and it like came every 4th month or something. Like I don't know why.
So they go together. They should be the same button.
You have to do both things. I don't know why, but you gotta.
But am I going to get a lot of spam if I hit it?
No, you won't. It helps out the show immensely if you do that. It means that you'll get the notification right away. You might remember Randy's mugs the other day. They sold out in like an hour. Yeah, if you had gotten the notification.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
And there's going to be more stuff like that where you're going to need to be kind of quick to the draw. So it does help to hit the bell icon. And I want to thank all these people over here. Yes.
Thank you so much for supporting us, making this possible. It took a long time to cordon off Jesse's side of the thing this week, and we were almost going to give up. We are like, you know what? Maybe this will be the week we take off. But it's 230 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do that.
Yeah. We've done it 230 weeks in a row, and we're not going to let some itty bitty, teeny tiny, deadly virus get in the way of that. So we did all that we could do, and don't worry, neither of us has any symptoms at the moment. We're both feeling fine. It's just we're an abundance of caution, and we've got masks here for when we leave and everything else. So we're fine. We're just being extra cautious and careful. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Now you know.